Like.
Hello, I'm Edil Gordon, Community Service Leader at the Ottawa East SDA Church. I've been doing this for about 4 years. We started at the Overbrook Center doing the soup kitchen, and then when we had the lockdown, we pivoted to starting a food bank around April of 2020. And we started with 60 people, or thereabouts. Just a brown bag of staples, like canned foods and pasta and fruits, an apple at least, and a vegetable package, and some snacks. And we graduated to up to 90 pretty quickly. And then that we sort of settled around that point, between 90 and 100, 110. It just depends on the weather and I guess who is in town at the time. We've had requests for diabetics, and we have what we call a diaper run, where we get diapers from different sizes for the moms. Usually the request is for pull-ups between 4 and 5, and that's probably toddler size. We also provide occasionally little bottles of already made up milk, so if they're breastfeeding, then they can use that as supplement. We've also had requests for dog food and cat food, but mostly the people that come, they're pretty young, probably mothers mostly, around 30s, and a lot of new immigrants to Canada. A lot of them speak French, so we've had to have a French-speaking person out front to greet them. We go for about 4 hours, between 12:30 and 4:30, and we try to get as many bags out the door as possible. Occasionally we'll go down the street and we'll hand out bags to the shut-ins. And it's once a month, usually around the middle of the month, that we do this. We also have a food drive the week before, and we send out little messages to the members of the church to contribute, either in staples, or they can put a check in the community service budget, and we go out and buy the food for them. We don't know when we're going to stop. We were hoping after the lockdown we would be able to slow down on that and maybe pivot to something less arduous, I would say. But the lockdown has been extended, so as long as they need us, we'll be here.
I was hoping you could walk us through who gets which bag and how you kind of decide how much a family can get.
So these are the bags for the 1 to 2 persons per family, and these bags are 3 and above, so we put additional food in the outer bag, and then we can combine bags. So for instance, that would be 3 people, and we can give another bag and then 4. Or we have some bigger bags that has a lot more in it, so we just gauge it. You know, the size of the bag and how much they want. So normally we can always supplement it with additional bags.
You said this is
unique. Well, most people come up with their cars or walk, but because she needs help, we try to provide her with an additional help. And sometimes past they even take bags around with the apartment further down where he would take a number of bags down.
getting volunteers for the packing. We also need volunteers on the Wednesday when we distribute the food. We try to take people for a 2-hour slot, like from 12:30 to 2:30, and then one from then to 4:30, so that you're not exposed too much if you're meeting and greeting and handing out bags. We have PPE items that we use. We give out if you need it, like gloves and masks, etc. And cleanup is usually pretty fast. We just cut down whatever. We don't usually have much food left over. We would like to have a little shelf, maybe in the children's room, where we could develop a pantry. Like if we have stuff left over, we put it in there and we can keep collecting during the month, and so that we have a staple amount of food in there, so that if somebody wants something before the food bank date, it would be nice to have.
Need a family, she says? 7?
7 or 9, I think.
Okay. Let me ask her. Three. Yeah, that's 3. Yeah.
You can see the need of a food bank in the Vanier community. Post-COVID, would you go back to having a soup kitchen, or do you think there's other options in terms of serving this community?
The soup kitchen was sort of winding down in terms of membership. We used to have regulars that could come out, but then we had an influx of refugee families, and they had a lot of kids. And so the kids were taking over the space that the adults used to be in. And then they were noisy, and they were creating a problem, and the adults didn't like it. So if we go back to the soup kitchen, which we probably will, because it's needed, we would put the children in one room, and then have the adults in another room. And these kids are hungry. They come and, sometimes we have to give them double or send them home with food. So I think that need is there, actually. I don't know what they're doing now. Maybe they're not going to school, so they don't need as much, but there's that. And I think we should probably develop something where we have clothing for kids, diapers and that sort of thing, laid up in an area, and maybe have moms come in once a week if they have questions or problems. We could develop a little community thing in the church, actually, probably in this room. And we feed them, give them lunch, and find out from them if they need anything, or if they need information, or they need to be referred to a support group, etc. That would be nice.
So you mentioned you need volunteers. Is there anything else that we as a community can do to help this service?
Shopping. I do a lot of the shopping, and my daughter helps with the lifting of the heavy items.
Possible items include, but are not limited to, rice, pasta, canned soup, canned beans, canned vegetables, cooking oil. Definitely reach out for more details.
Nice idea. You guys had a food drive here. It was a nice surprise. I came and there was all this food. So it would be nice if you guys are interested in doing something like that again. It helps, because then I don't have to do as much shopping. I don't know where the money came from. Was it from the,
We had Global Youth Day, right? And then we just invited people to come and have food.
oh, so they contribute in their own?
Yeah. And sometimes we raise money.
It would be nice if each department would contribute. Like we help the men's department with their downtown handouts. But it would be nice if they had a few dollars to give us, then they could have a food drive, their own food drive, and then pick up the items. The women's ministry could do the same. Maybe it's something we could put out there and see what they would say about that. We need help. Volunteers. It would be nice to have a few French-speaking volunteers because we have quite a number of French-speaking people. And they'll say 5, or they'll say, 4, and you need to ask questions and they don't really understand. So it would be nice if we have a few people who can interact with them. We also give out tracts in the bags. So if you have magazines, religious magazines, or items, little booklets at home, that's gathering dust, we could take them and hand them out in the bags. So we get more exposure, hopefully. That's it.
All right. Thank you for your time today.
And thank you for your for your time and effort.